For years, Elon Musk has been praised by the right wing. He was praised by the right wing because he was positive towards some right-wing beliefs. But not only that, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he became one of the messiahs, or the messiah, of the right wing. Because he purchased Twitter back in, I want to say 2022. And he said, I'm going to bring back free speech. He said, I'm going to bring back free speech. And I am going to take Twitter. And I'm going to purchase Twitter for billions of dollars. And I will give it back to the people. That's correct. It's like that scene from Gladiator when Maximus says, not Gladiator 2, not that bullshit, but the real Gladiator. When Maximus talks about how he's going to overthrow the government or something, and the guy says, so you're just going to take Rome and give it back to the people. Elon Musk presented himself like a Maximus, but the reality is that Elon Musk is more like a Commodus. It's the truth. It really is. Elon Musk, I'm going to say it. Elon Musk is a psychopath. Elon Musk is evil. He's a eugenist. He's wicked. He is a sinister genius. He's an evil genius mastermind. That's what Elon Musk is. And a lot of you guys, I hate to say it, but a lot of you guys fell for the cult. You did. You fell for the cult. Because Elon Musk came along and he said, I'm going to buy Twitter and I'm going to give it back to the people. I will reinstate free speech. And to further reference Gladiator, not that bullshit Gladiator 2, I mean the real Gladiator. To further reference the movie Gladiator, it's like when Maximus said, Marcus Aurelius had a dream that was once Rome. This is not it. This is not it. And then Proximo says, we are but shadows and dust, Maximus. Shadows and dust. And so Elon Musk tried to portray himself in this light. Tried to portray himself in such a manner, but the reality is that Elon Musk, while portraying himself as a Maximus Aurelius, he was really just a Commodus. A sicko and a sinister individual with a lot of power. Like Commodus. And it's like that scene, really, from Gladiator. Not that bullshit Gladiator 2. I'm talking about the real Gladiator. It's like that scene from Gladiator when Commodus is on a chariot and he's riding the chariot towards these senators and Lucius is there waiting for him. And the old Roman senator says, the man comes in here like a conquering hero. But what has he conquered? That's Elon Musk. He comes in acting like a conquering hero, but what has he truly conquered? Well, in his case, he conquered Twitter, and he bought it. And in fact, I think he was kind of forced to buy it because at some point he didn't want to buy it, but then Twitter said, nah, you're going to buy this shit. You're going to give us our money. And he bought it, and then he changed it into X. And when the purchase was finalized, I didn't notice an immediate difference at all. It felt like it was the same old Twitter. And when Twitter was Twitter, before it became Muskistan, Twitter obviously was very controlled. Twitter felt very controlled, and it felt very contained. Now, was there censorship in Twitter? Yes, absolutely. There was a lot of censorship in Twitter. You couldn't say the N-word. Oh, what a tragedy, right? You can't say the N-word. Oh, so tragic. So where's the free speech? I can't say the N-word. You couldn't say certain things. You couldn't. Now, you couldn't question certain narratives, like you couldn't question the vaccine. And you couldn't do that. You couldn't question the election of 2020. Was that a mistake? I'll leave that up to you guys. But that's how it was in Twitter. You could not question certain things. But the thing is that Twitter felt very clean, right? When you went onto Twitter, Twitter felt like an ulterior search engine for you to search mainstream news. That's what it felt like. So instead of going on to Google News, you could just go on to Twitter and then just type things in, and then you're going to get articles by the New York Times and CNN and Washington Post. So it felt like a place that you could go to where you could get all of the different mainstream news articles in one place. That's what it felt like. It was a very controlled environment, and it felt clean. When Musk bought it, I did not feel or see any immediate difference, and this was the case for everybody because we're all seeing the same thing. Then something happened in, I want to say, 2023, where it just blew up. I mean, it just, boom, here you go. And it really, really showed itself. Like Musk's purchasing, the effect of Musk's purchasing of Twitter really showed itself and made itself clear after October the 7th. After October the 7th, man, Twitter was a very, very different space. Very different space. It was just... do you know what Twitter became? It went from an alternative search engine where you can search the mainstream news to a giant 4chan. I mean, it just became a ginormous 4chan. And the scary thing about it is that it became a mainstreamed 4chan. Now, 4chan, for those of you who don't know, is a forum for Nazis, right? Nazis go there, they make memes against the Jews, or they talk about Holocaust denial, or they talk about why they hate black people or immigrants, why they hate non-whites. It's a Nazi cesspool. That's what 4chan is. It's a Nazi cesspool. Full of Nazis, full of shit posters and just people trying to be edgy, and a lot of sickos and a lot of degenerates go there. It's just a shitty place. It's terrible. I went there a few times just to understand the ideology and to see what they were writing. But yeah, Poll. That's right. Poll on 4chan. It's just a very sick and demented place. It's like hell. It's like an online version of hell. Just demons talking all the time. I don't like it. I don't like Nazis. I don't like fascist Nazis. I don't like people who are Darwinist, and I don't like them. Anime, yeah, that's true, but anime, for some reason, attracts a lot of weirdos. I don't know why. But 4chan, or like you said, Poll, used to be... Poll is really a... how do I say it? When you wanted to go to a racist, degenerate place, you went on to Poll. You just went to Poll. And that place sort of became the gathering spot, or the gathering center for these types of people. Then Elon Musk came over and said, no more censorship. And he fired everyone who was involved in making sure that the terms of service were complied with on Twitter. Twitter had a whole army of people whose job it was to just make sure that people were following the rules. And so Elon Musk came along and he said, yeah, your jobs are basically worthless, and you need to go. And he fired a bunch of people. Now, if you want to maintain TOS, you need a lot of people there, I think, right? I mean, I think it makes sense that you need a lot of people to make sure that people are following the rules. I can say this from experience because I actually started my own video uploading platform years ago. It's not there anymore, but years ago, I started my own video uploading platform. I called it ShoebotTube. And yeah, it took a while to make it. I didn't make it myself. I hired someone to make it for me. But because YouTube was censoring me so much at that time. This was back in like 2017? 2016, 17. I wanted to make my own video platforming site because I wanted a place where I could upload my own videos and never worry about censorship. So for a while, for months and months and months, I just uploaded my own videos on ShoebotTube. When we first made ShoebotTube, I said, I had this stupid, naive, idealistic perspective when it came to this website. I said, I want ShoeBotTube to be a place where conservatives can upload videos without worrying about censorship. And people can come onto my site and they can start a little profile and they can upload videos. So I started ShoeBotTube, and then I had a friend who was into blogging, and I said, hey, you want to start a profile? He said, sure. So he starts a profile. This was my first member of ShoeBotTube, other than me. He starts a profile. I think he started uploading some stuff. Within a matter of days, I'm not joking, within a matter of days, I go onto ShoeBotTube, and the whole website is riddled with porn. The whole website. And I'm not talking about just tits. I mean, it's some nasty-ass porn, some weird-ass porn. And I saw the porn thumbnails, and I said, oh, no. I don't want my website to be harboring this nonsense, this sickness. So then I said, well, we're going to need some censorship. And I didn't hire someone to just be the guy in charge of censorship. I mean, that takes money. And I wasn't going to sit there and monitor this website all day. That would be exhausting. I'm a writer. I want to write articles. I want to upload videos. I want to read books. I want to garden. I want to do my own thing. I don't want to sit there and make sure that some sickos are putting up some weird ass porn on my website. So you know what I did? I called up the web designer and I said, hey, here's what I want you to do. I want you to allow only for me and the guy that I allow to have a profile to have profiles. No one else can have profiles. That's it. So it went from this place that I naively and idealistically believed could be a place free of censorship to a place where I said, hey, I'm the only one posted around here. This is my place. That's it. And not only did I do censorship, I didn't do any censorship. I just blocked everybody from having a say. On my site, no one can upload except for the guy that I allowed in the beginning. He was allowed to upload videos. That was it. Problem solved. So you got to have censorship. If you don't have censorship, your website is going to become an absolute cesspool because people are garbage. I'm sorry to say that, but a lot of people are garbage. And you give people freedom and they're going to shit all over the place. This is why I never really got into this libertarian nonsense. I call it liber-retardians. I'm a libertarian. You're a liber-retardian. The liber-retardians, they're always talking about free speech this and the free speech that. If you give people freedom, they're literally going to shit all over everything. A lot of people don't respect anything sacred. You say, okay, you can start uploading videos, do whatever you want. Okay, here comes all the weird shit. All the weird shit. People are going to be reading Mein Kampf on YouTube. Lol, libertarian. Libertarian. We don't need any government controls. Everything should just be privately owned. And, that's it. Is it wrong to destroy barbarians? What the hell are you talking about? I wish people could tell me what they're talking about before they open their mouths or start typing. Good evening, all. Ted, did you see where Erdogan's son called for taking Jerusalem? Yeah, this guy's been talking about taking Jerusalem for years. We have yet to see that, and I think it's gonna happen. But this guy's been saying this for a long time. But thank you for letting me know. Otherwise, society devolves. Well, I think you should have the death penalty for certain people. In the state of Texas, some guy recently beheaded his own wife. Yeah. And do you know how many years he got for beheading his own wife? He raped his wife and then beheaded her. Do you know how many years he got in prison? 40 years. That was it. 40 years for beheading his wife. 40 years. And that happened in Texas. In freaking Texas that happened. Oh, don't mess with Texas. We the real God state here, boy. Well, they sentenced the man for 40 years. And what crime did he do? 40 years for raping and beheading your wife. But what about the mitigating circumstances? What about the mitigating circumstances? Oh, mitigating circumstances. So that means after 40 years, you let him out. And the guy is 21 years old, which means he's going to be in his 60s when he gets out of prison. Ooh, a guy in his 60s is still very dangerous. people who post stuff like Hitler. Yeah, I mean, they're just barbarians, but they're sickos. You see how everything is just going crazy? 40 years. Was it a leftist judge? I looked up the judge. He's some guy. I forgot his name, but he's some judge. I looked him up. He thought, well, they're mitigating circumstances. This guy beheaded. You can look it up. Look up the case. His name is I think his name was Jared Ickes. James or Jared Ickes. Or Bicus. Jared Bicus beheaded his wife. Raped her and beheaded her in Texas. And admitted to it, too. Interrogation. You can watch the interrogation video on YouTube. Yeah, beheaded her. 40 years. Derek Chauvin gets how many years? 20-something years? For doing his job? I mean, this is bullshit, guys. Chauvin gets 20 years. This guy gets 40 years for beheading his wife. 20. So Chauvin gets half of what this guy got. It's so retarded, guys. The justice system in America, I tell you, it's bullshit. It really is bullshit. But yeah, you got to have censorship. That's just a fact. I mean, without censorship, your whole website gonna go to shit. And so that's what happened to X. It became a cesspool, like 4chan, and they just allowed everything. They just allowed everything. Anything goes. Who cares? And so the right wing were saying, this is great. I mean, look, Mr. Musk, he's doing God's work because he has allowed complete freedom of expression on Twitter/X. Well, I started researching that because here's the thing. I never liked Musk. I still don't like Musk. I don't trust Musk because Musk is a eugenist. And Musk is a Darwinist. And Musk is evil. And Musk believes in evolutionism. And he wants to apply his ideology of evolutionism onto society. That's why he wants to inject people's brains with microchips. Now, there is I'm not going to say it, all right? I'm going to say it. There is a stereotype about Americans. I don't really agree with it, but there is a stereotype about Americans that says American people are not very bright. Okay? I don't agree with it. I don't. But a lot of people say this sort of shit. When you see Americans for decades saying, watch out for the mark of the freaking beast. And they were saying what? They were saying it was going to be a microchip, right? And Alex Jones was talking about what? The New World Order. And what was he talking about? Microchips, New World Order, big government. And people believed it. They said, oh my God, yeah, it's going to be a microchip. They're going to try to inject you with a microchip. That's the mark of the beast. Or it's the New World Order. In comes Elon Musk. And what does he say? Everyone should have a Neuralink microchip injected into their brains. And he goes on. He says more than that. He says that the person who will have the Neuralink microchip in their brains is going to perform at a more efficient and faster rate than the one who doesn't. And he gives the example of a computer programmer. He says a computer programmer who will have the Neuralink microchip injected into his brain is going to perform faster and more efficiently because of the microchip than the computer programmer who will not accept the chip. And you see Christians accepting Elon Musk, embracing him. Whatever happened to all this talk about the mark of the beast being a microchip and the New World Order? Whatever happened to all that bullshit? Where's Alex Jones? Where was Alex Jones blowing the freaking horn of Gondor and ringing the bells and warning people about this stuff? You didn't see Alex Jones. Maybe I'm wrong. Can someone tell me if Alex Jones warned people about Elon Musk? I really started to research Mr. Musk, okay? And what I found was that Twitter under Musk has still been imposing censorship. And the imposition of censorship by X is dictated by governments. So, for example, various people, many people in India, have had their X accounts deactivated or terminated by X because the Indian government, which is dominated by Hindu nationalists, has demanded from X that those accounts be terminated. So X under Musk has been enacting censorship at the behest of Hindu nationalists. Now, isn't that interesting? And when the Brazilian government said, hey, Mr. Musk, can you censor the accounts of these Brazilian activists because they used Twitter or X to coordinate political violence as a protest against the election in which they believed that a politician was robbed of the election, Mr. Musk said, no, I'm not going to comply with that. I am not going to enact censorship at all. And so Brazil said, okay, well, we're just going to ban Twitter. And they banned Twitter. And guess what happened? Eventually, Musk said, okay, we'll comply. We'll acquiesce. Because Brazil is a huge market, and Musk doesn't want to lose that. But the fact is that Musk was very resistant to the idea of censoring right-winger accounts in Brazil, but he had no issue with censoring accounts that were critical of Hindu nationalism. And that led me to believe, and I still believe this, that Musk is in agreement with, or has some sort of a sympathy for the Hindu nationalists, just as he has a sympathy for all right-wing nationalists. For example, Elon Musk recently stated that the only party that can save Germany is the AfD. The AfD, or the Alternative for Deutschland Party, or Alternative for Germany Party, is a far-right party. It is ran by, well, I'm just going to say it, it's ran by modern-day Nazis. It's just repackaged Nazism. Now, why do I say that? Well, the most famous, if not one of the most famous leaders of the AfD is Bjorn Höcke, and I've said this a million times. I've explained this to you guys a million times, but I'm going to keep saying it because apparently there may be some new people here who don't know. Bjorn Höcke is a Nazi. He has made that very clear that he is a Nazi. He used to write articles for Nazi publications praising the Third Reich. Guy's a Nazi. And now the AfD and people like Bjorn Höcke are using the migrant crisis as a way to bolster their own position and to gain power, just like Hitler used the communist threat to gain power, to gain votes, popularity, and thus power. And so you see the rise of the AfD in Germany. It's a very far-right party. Bjorn Höcke has also expressed his spite for Holocaust memorials, again demonstrating his own Nazi sympathies, his own Hitlerianism. And Elon Musk has said that the only party that can save Germany is AfD. He has publicly, openly supported the AfD. Elon Musk is also a eugenist, and he believes that through Neuralink, through injecting chips into people's brains, that they will accelerate the process of evolution. He has also talked about colonizing Mars, and he believes that by colonizing Mars, we will also enter a new stage of human evolution. So he believes in this idea of human engineering. Human engineering, which is what eugenics is at the end of the day. And who else wanted to colonize Mars? Oh, that's right, the Nazis. That's right. Wernher von Braun wanted to colonize Mars. But you see, the problem is that no one really accepted this reality. I mean, some people did, don't get me wrong, but as far as right-wingers go, as far as conservatives go, they really were refusing to see Elon Musk for what he was, for what he is, which is a eugenist who has a sympathy for Hitlerian ideology and who is a social Darwinist and who is using his power, he's using his enormous wealth, and he is using his ownership of X to advance far-right nationalism. This music is too loud, guys. I'm sorry. Let me know if you guys could hear me with that. Was I listenable at all? Or he believes in fatherland? Yeah, let me know, guys. Was I... Shit. Let me listen to that again. Hold on. Let me make sure that I didn't mess up there. How many people are listening to this? 39 people? Not bad. 2 hours so far? Not bad. Was I listenable at all? Or I was fine. Hold on. There may be some new people here who don't know. Okay, we're good. We're good. Yeah, we were fine. All right, just making sure. I want to make sure the music wasn't too loud. That's crazy. Music is fine. Okay, very nice. So here is the problem with right-wingers. We can hear you? Okay, very good. Here is the problem with right-wingers, and this is why I say a lot of right-wingers are just evil people. I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of you guys are evil. Is when someone like myself comes along and says, here is why Elon Musk is trouble. Eugenics, Darwinism, promoting far-right nationalism, censoring people in India who are critical of Hindu nationalist politicians or the Hindu nationalist party dominating India. I could present all of these facts, and you righties don't give a shit because you guys are evil. When someone presents to you facts that demonstrate a real evil presence, and you guys don't care, or you guys respond with indifference, or you guys respond with deaf ears, that is evil. It's evil. You guys don't give a shit. When I was told about Israeli war crimes, I looked into it. I said, yeah, war crimes. Yeah, we can't ignore this, even if you're sympathetic to Israel. Even if you believe the war on Hamas is a just war. Can't ignore that. Just like you can't ignore the fact that Americans did war crimes in Iraq. And they were American soldiers who did war crimes in Iraq, and they got away with it. Oh, yeah. Look up, what was it? There was a big massacre that happened in Iraq. Starts with an H. Iraq War Massacre. What was it called? Haditha Massacre. Look up the Haditha Massacre. They killed dozens of people in Iraq. Children, elderly people, all civilians. Do you know how many soldiers got prosecuted? None of them. They all got away with it. Every damn one of them got away with it. No one gave a shit. And we were told in high school that the war was about freedom. And then you actually looked at these war crimes and you're thinking, wait, I don't see no freedom. I don't see any freedom there. I see murder. I see evil. I see people taking advantage of certain opportunities, like 9/11, and using that to justify a full-scale invasion of a country, and then butchering its population, and then destabilizing the whole country, thus allowing the population, forcing the population to live in a giant blender of carnage. That's what I see. Same thing with Israel. Same thing with Elon Musk. And when I looked into Elon Musk and I saw the Neuralink stuff, and I saw evolutionism, and I saw Darwinism, and I saw eugenics, and I saw the open push for right-wing nationalism, and I saw the censorship of people critical of Hindu nationalism in India, when I saw all that, I said, "Ooh, there's too many red flags here. I'm not going to ignore it." And when I presented these facts, and I did a whole video on Hinduism and Elon Musk, you can look into it. I did a whole video months and months ago. I've done whole videos critical of Elon Musk. How many people cared? Nobody. I mean, some of you guys cared, right? And that's all that matters at the end of the day. But not a lot of people cared. You know, those videos that I did got at best, the one that got the most views had about, I think, 1,300 or 1,200 views or something like that, maybe less than that. And that was the best that I could do as far as an audience goes. And now, all of a sudden, you see these righties angry at Elon Musk. And why are they angry at Elon Musk? Well, for several reasons, and they all sort of link together. Elon Musk wants to import more Indian tech labor into the American tech world, because there's a lot of people in India who are into tech. And Elon Musk wants more HB1 visas to bring in more Indian tech workers. And a lot of people got upset about this, and they said, "What are you talking about, Elon? What? And remember, I did a video a while back ago showing that Elon Musk has a bias for Hindu nationalists, and that he will censor people who are critical of Modi's party. He has a sympathy for Hinduism and a sympathy for Hindu nationalism. And now he's talking about bringing in more Indians who are into tech, and all these Americans, they're like Aladdin when they see that the genie is controlled by Jafar. Musk, what are you doing? Musk, why are you... I thought you believed in hiring native workers. I thought you were for hiring Americans and restricting immigration and you know what Elon Musk said? You know what he said? He said, "You Americans are too stupid to hire." Now, he didn't say it exactly in those words, but that's pretty much what he said. He said, "You Americans are too dumb for the tech world. American society doesn't produce enough people who are trained enough or who are actually adequate for tech work. But India does. And we need more of those Indian workers." But I thought you were like us. No, I'm for cheap Indian labor. Now, I may be against blocking the border to prevent Mexicans and Guatemalans from entering. We don't want those people. No. You Americans can pick fruit. You Americans can pick up apples and strawberries and blackberries, and you guys can pick tomatoes and watermelons, and you guys can harvest cilantro from the fields of Texas. That work is fitting for you. The work that we give to the people from Mexico and Guatemala and El Salvador and Venezuela and Nicaragua, you Americans are fitting for that work. But for the tech world, well, that takes a different type of person. You see, I'm looking for someone who is more adequate for this type of work. And you Americans really just don't cut it. You see, I'm looking for, Vivek Ramaswamy's people. That's what I'm looking for. So now people are angry with Musk. And it's understandable. Because he did talk a whole lot about immigration. And now he's for immigration when it's for his interest. You see, guys, this is why you people keep falling for this stuff. You guys keep falling for these traps. And the reason why you guys keep falling for these traps is because you refuse to see red flags when they're there. When the red flags are there, you guys refuse to see them because you guys are blinded by your own biases. You are blinded by your own idealism, and you are blinded by your own ideological aspirations. It's the facts. Because you guys were so excited about this Musk guy. And you thought that he was this messiah of free speech. And I tried to warn you guys months and months and months ago that this guy was no damn good. In fact, I warned you guys, I want to say years ago. Yeah, I think I remember writing about Elon Musk's little eugenist ideas years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. And nobody cared. And in fact, when I tried to expose Musk for you guys, some of you guys were against me. Because why? Because Musk is for free speech and he is against wokeism. But now you guys hate him. Why? Why? It's amazing. I've seen this story too many damn times, where you righties basically form a cult of personality around a figurehead. And then I come along and say, here's why you guys are wrong for being so fanatical about this person or so excited about this person. You guys ignore me, or you reject what I have to say, or you guys want to debate me. And then you guys end up hating that cult of personality leader anyway for various reasons. I'll give you an example that I've seen in the past. The example of Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck was a cult leader. Now, he may not have wanted to be a cult leader. Maybe he did. He is a Mormon. But Glenn Beck was something of a cult leader. I'll just put it that way. He was a cult of personality. And Glenn Beck, he was on top of the world. If you rewind back to, let's say, 2012 or 2013, those years, Glenn Beck was on top of the world. He was the biggest conservative mouthpiece. He was, for a certain duration of time, he was as big as Jordan Peterson. he was as big as what Jordan Peterson once was. Not Jordan Peterson is not as famous as he used to be. So, but at one point, Glenn Beck was as big as Jordan Peterson was at one point, at a different point. And Glenn Beck was on top of the world. The guy was on top of the world, and he went to some rally, I remember, I think in Florida, and they were, God knows how many people. There was like 100,000 people or something came to go see him. I mean, it was insane. People really loved this guy. And of course, there was me telling them that this Beck guy is no damn good. And I showed them evidence. I showed them that Glenn Beck is a universalist, that Glenn Beck is sympathetic to Sodom. I mean, I was showing people this stuff. And nobody cared. In fact, a lot of people bashed me. And a lot of people attacked me, for a lot of people. And I'm not exaggerating. I would get tons of comments on my articles exposing Beck about why I'm wrong and blah, 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 and this and that. Fast forward to the year 2015 or 16, Donald Trump was running for president. And there was Glenn Beck saying, hey guys, this Trump guy is too much of a cult of personality. And Beck's criticism was actually fitting, I think. I don't think there was anything really crazy about his criticism. I think it was valid criticism, because there indeed was a cult of personality revolving around Donald Trump, and it was nationalistic, and it was culty. It was cultish. And guess what happened? Everybody attacked Beck, and overnight everybody hated Beck, and overnight Glenn Beck's following precipitously crashed. And I thought, wow, look at that. People were worshiping this guy some years ago, and now they all hate him. But they hated Beck for the wrong reasons. That's the thing about it. And a lot of people are hating on Elon Musk, but they're not hating him for the reasons that I presented. They're not saying, you Musk bastard, you want to stick a chip in me over my dead body. You know, I don't see Americans pulling out the "Don't Tread on Me" flag and saying you ain't gonna stick no Neuralink bullshit in me. I mean, they were adamant about the vaccine. Now, if they try to enforce Neuralink, yeah, there's gonna be resistance. But right now, I don't see people saying, you know, Musk, you just want to stick microchips in people, you weirdo, you bastard, you sicko. I don't see a whole lot of people doing that. But they're mad at him. Not because of eugenics or Neuralink stuff or anything like that. They're mad at him not because he has openly promoted for German nationalism. They're mad at him because he wants more Indians to come to America and do tech work for him. They're basically saying we hate Musk because he's not as anti-immigration as we are, as we want him to be. Now again, this is kind of like a Glenn Beck situation. It seems that way, right? At one point in time, Glenn Beck was just as famous as Jordan Peterson was at another time, and then he goes right down. So, like the guy in Scarface said, you know, every dog has his day. And Jordan Peterson was on top of the world, and now he's not. Andrew Tate was on top of the world, and that didn't last very long. Now he's not. Ben Shapiro is going to have his day. I think Ben Shapiro has been gradually declining. I've noticed that. I don't know if you guys have noticed the same thing. And perhaps Musk is going to have his day, or who knows? Perhaps Musk is going to come out and say, you guys are right. I was wrong. And then he's going to maintain his popularity. We'll see. But I still hold to my position that Musk is no damn good and he's evil. And I still hold to my position that too many of you people lack awareness. Because too many of you people were willing to follow Musk when I was telling you that Musk is evil because he believes that sticking chips in people is going to be the next stage of human evolution. And that's pretty disturbing. It's like some weird sci-fi horror. And he is a part of the Silicon Valley world. He is connected with Peter Thiel, who wants designer babies. And they really just want a world where people, men and women, don't have children naturally. They just have kids by a turkey baster. And the guy has some ingenious sperm and she has some ingenious eggs. And they say, let's have some twins and populate the earth with all these geniuses. because we need more geniuses in the world. He wants geniuses to have more kids. Now you could say, well, that's a good thing, but think of it in this way. He wants geniuses to have more kids because he believes that there is some sort of a superior gene. And he wants those superior genes to have all the kids or most of the kids. And I hate to say this, but Elon Musk doesn't see Americans as being very superior when it comes to genetic intelligence. He doesn't, and he's made that very clear. I'll read your guys' comments because you guys put some comments up here. Hold on. We got 45 people. Wow, not bad. This is not too long after Christmas. You guys are all filled up with all the Christmas calories, and you guys are too tired to do anything. That's good. That's fine. It sounds... let's see. Elon Musk's daughter's name he has with singer Grimes in extra dark... I don't even know what you're saying, but it sounds weird. Who is... I'm gonna try to read this sentence. Elon Musk's daughter's name he has with singer Grimes is Exa Dark Citadel. What is she, a freaking Diablo 4 character? What a bunch of bullshit. All these rich-ass people, they got so much money, they can't... They're so wealthy, but they don't have enough awareness, or they don't care to even think about how if you give your kid a weird-ass name, that kid gonna be brutalized in school. Your name is Dark Citadel? What the fuck? Are you a PoE2 character or something? Elden Ring? What is this? Elon Musk. Okay, it sounds almost like a... yeah, okay. What's up, Big T? What's up, 117 Rebel? Erdogan has signed economical and military agreement with Somalia. Yep. Yeah, that's because the Turks want to be in East Africa, and that means that they are going to be able to surround the Arab Peninsula. Because if the Turks have a presence in Iraq, if they have a presence in Syria, obviously they're very close to the Arab Peninsula. Now, if they're in Somalia and if they are in Sudan, then they're right next to the Red Sea, and from the Red Sea they can just cross over into Saudi Arabia. This is going to be a part of them controlling the Middle East. And a part of controlling the Middle East would be controlling the Arab Peninsula, which the Ottoman Empire once did back in the day. But because the British allied with the Arabs to overthrow the Ottomans lost that power over the Arab Peninsula, and the Turks want that territory back. So part of this is about, I think, surrounding the Arab Peninsula to eventually invade the Arabs. I think that's a very real phenomenon. And if you don't believe me, then ask yourself, why did the Arabs support a coup to overthrow Omar al-Bashir? I'll give you guys a little bit of an explanation of what I'm talking about. So Omar al-Bashir was a dictator who ruled Sudan. He was a brutal dictator. He killed millions of people, killed Christians. I mean, this guy was not a good person. He was evil. This guy was a mass murderer. And he was very close to Erdogan. He was an ally to Erdogan. Very close to Erdogan, had very strong ties with Erdogan's government. The Arabs were absolutely terrified about this. Why? Because Sudan is right on the coast of the Red Sea. What's on the other side of Sudan? Saudi Arabia. If you have Turkey in Sudan, that means Turkey can just cross the Red Sea into Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia does not want a Turkish presence in East Africa. So the Arabs, alongside the Egyptians, conspired to have a coup done in Sudan to overthrow Omar al-Bashir. Why did they want Omar al-Bashir to be overthrown? Not because he was this mass murderer, but because Omar al-Bashir was way too close to the Turks. And the Arabs do not want that. The Arabs do not want a Turkish presence in that part of Africa, because then that would mean Turkey having access into the Red Sea, and that would mean Turkey having access to impale Saudi Arabia. So it's not looking good for the Arabs. Let's see here. I don't want a Neuralink microchip in my brain. I agree. How much percent of Twitter is bots? A lot, from what I understand. There's a lot of bots. Do you think government... Okay, I already answered that question. All right. Going to have a couple of libations. Enjoy yourself. I like Alex Jones. He gets on everybody's butt. I like him because he calls out everyone. We need more. How come he doesn't call out Elon Musk? We need more media to put out a truth instead of propaganda. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. We still need to keep an eye on everyone in authority. And what about Elon Musk? What about keeping an eye on that guy? Alex Jones has been definitely bought by Elon Musk. I agree. The dude is a propaganda machine. He's funny to listen to, but he's a propaganda mouth. They probably don't trust you either, but great minds think a lot alike. Wow. Wow, I love the tongue emoji. Merry Christmas, Selorm Lumar. Elon don't like woke because I think one of his sons ended up trans. I don't know if this is a troll or if this is a real human being. Can someone, is this a real person? Is Rhonda Ray a real human being? Or is this a troll? Literally just ignores everything that I've said. He believes in the fatherland, yep. Where can I get your father's 2 books, God's War on Terror or For God or for Tyranny? You can get it in... Well, if you want a copy of God's War on Terror, I wouldn't recommend that. My father himself wouldn't recommend it because my dad's working on a book where he corrects a lot of the things that he said in God's War on Terror and where he adds to what he said in God's War on Terror. So I would wait for my dad's book to come out, and when it does come out, it's going to be free for everyone to read. It's going to come out. We're going to publish it as a PDF for free for everyone to read. As far as For God or for Tyranny, I can just give you a PDF form of For God or for Tyranny if you want. If you have Facebook, just write me on Facebook, and I can send you God's War. I can send you For God or for Tyranny in PDF format. And if you don't have Facebook, you can just email me at shoebot@shoebot.com. Here, I'll write down the email. This is my public email. shoebot@shoebot.com. Sorry, here. That's my public email. You could just send me an email there, and I'll send you a PDF form of For God or for Tyranny. I think For God or for Tyranny is a really good book. I think you can still learn a lot from it. Seriously, I think you can learn a lot from it. Because I talk a lot about eugenics there, like the rise of eugenics and stuff like that. And I wrote that back in high school, which shows you that I've been on this topic for much of my life, going all the way back to when I was in high school, believe it or not. It's crazy. My wife is an Iraqi Kurd. Oh, wow. Wow. That's interesting. And was she born in Iraq? 44 people watching the live, but just 18 thumbs up. I hate to say this. It looks like I have to say this, but I feel shameful about saying this. But guys, give me a like here. If you like what you're watching, give me a like. It helps the channel. I'm just gonna say it. Damn it, I'm gonna say it. I have mentally resisted this for years. I told myself I'll never ask for likes or subscribers. I'm just gonna do it because I heard that it works. If you like what you're watching, give me a like and a subscribe. There, I did it. It was painful, but I did it. I hate doing it, but it seems like it works. And there was a study on this, and they actually showed that when you ask people to like your video, they do it. I always thought that if people liked the video enough, they would like it anyway, but apparently not. And then he went incognito to the Twitter space where they discussed his censorship. His meltdown was hilarious. Which meltdown? I think that we should just keep an eye on everybody. This is what I like to do. I like to study folks. Okay. That's good. Funny thing, Indians write the worst programming. Indians write the worst programming code. It became some sort of a metaphor in the tech circles for inefficient. I'm not a troll, just a concerned human being. Okay. I don't even know you existed until I seen your dad on a church program. I like interesting people. Okay, very good. Gotta keep an eye on Elon, I agree. You're cool? Alright, appreciate that. The best ideology to have is just righteousness. Exactly. Exactly. I completely agree. That's why when you criticize Israel for what? For specific things that it has done, right? You don't criticize Israel for existing. You have people who do that sort of thing. I don't agree with that. Israel is a country. It's a legitimate country, and it has a people, and it has a culture. And I don't agree with this idea that Israel shouldn't exist. I think that's bullshit, and I think it's murderous, really. I don't like Israel for what it does specifically, not just because it exists. I think that's insane and unhinged. Let's see here. 49. What the fuck? 49 people watching? Holy moly. Macaroni. Oh gosh, damn. We gotta keep this up. We gotta maintain this, guys. We gotta keep it up. Let's keep it up! Keep it up. We gotta keep the views going. Gotta keep the energy going, guys. Can't fall asleep. Nope. Ain't no rest. Ain't no resting. We gonna do this. I think it was in the Sylvester Stallone movie Judge Dredd, where it was in a world where all babies were made and even their. I remember this. Oh my god, I remember this. Remember the scene? Remember that movie with Sylvester Stallone, where he's like in a sci-fi world up in space, and then every. I remember seeing that movie back when I was like 12 years old. And freaking Sylvester Stallone is meeting up with this chick. It was like Sandra Bullock or someone, and she goes, she just straight up asks Rocky Balboa, "Do you want to have sex?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, sure." And then she's like, "Here." She's like, "Here, put these fucking goggles on." It's like some freaking stimulator. And then Sylvester Stallone says, "Can we just do it the old-fashioned way?" Can we just do it the old-fashioned way? Old-fashioned way. And then you have these lunatics in Silicon Valley. They want to grow babies in vats. They're like, yeah, sex, it's not going to exist anymore, guys. I mean, it's just regular sex. It's not going to, nah. That's not how we're going to have people anymore. We're just going to put the seed and the egg together in a lab, and then we're going to grow the baby in a vat. And that's great. Wonderful. Wonderful human progress, growing babies in jars. It's just like that scene from The Matrix, where Morpheus takes Neo to the desert of the real. And he says, "At first I didn't believe it, Neo. But then I saw it with my own eyes. Watch them liquefy the dead to intravenously feed the living. And I saw it there. We are not born. We are grown." The thunder. And then he tells Neo, "Neo, they have transformed humanity to become this." And he shows Neo a battery, and Neo's like, "It's not possible." "I'm not here to scare you, Neo. I'm only here to tell you the truth." "No. It's bullshit. No." That's what these sick bastards want to do. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then in the movie with Sylvester Stallone, every restaurant is Taco Bell. And then the guy says, "May I invite you over for dinner?" "Yeah, sure." "Well, then meet me at Taco Bell." Every restaurant is Taco Bell, I remember. Yep. Every restaurant is Taco Bell because Taco Bell won the restaurant wars. My son loves that movie. Oh, wow, really? That's a funny movie. I had my eye on Elon from the start. Default position is always skeptic. Absolutely. Yep, never liked him. Ever since I saw that guy. I remember seeing him years ago. He was saying, "Oh, yeah, we got to make sure AI doesn't get out of hand. You know, it's a pretty dangerous stuff. Pretty dangerous." And I knew from the beginning, I'm like, this bastard is in Silicon Valley. You actually believe he's worried about AI being used to kill people? Are you kidding me? This guy's from Silicon Valley. They're practically Satanist over there. Do you know what Silicon Valley is? Silicon Valley is the perfect, literally, it is the perfect setting for a horror movie. There is no place more fitting for a horror movie than Silicon Valley. I can't think of a single place better for a horror story than Silicon Valley. You have everything in Silicon Valley. You got the evil geniuses, the billionaires who are evil geniuses, who are orchestrating some evil stuff behind the curtains. And then they live in these really wealthy neighborhoods where they got these contemporary looking homes and everyone looks all crazy retro looking and the weird retro furniture, and it's that futuristic contemporary furniture everywhere. And they're talking about engineering humans and growing babies in vats and doing designer babies and all this eugenics stuff. It's totally fucking dystopian, guys. Totally dystopian. And you guys were like, oh, this Elon Musk guy, it's crap. This fucker's he's from Silicon Valley. I mean, really, guys, I know I went through American public education, but I have enough awareness to know that something ain't right. Something ain't right, guys. Yeah, demolition, man. It's so bizarre, the world that we live in. It really is. But you know what? It's and I've talked about this before, but there is a parallel between our times and the times before Hitler took power. Before Hitler took power, you had your Henry Fords, you had your Sustenance Benz, and these guys were the wealthy technocrats of the day. They were into technology. I mean, Henry Ford designed the car, or he created the assembly line. He invented the idea of the assembly line to create cars at a massive level, at a massive scale. I mean, that was the top of the line technology of the day. The car, the tank. I mean, this was state of the art technology in those days. Nowadays they're like, okay, tanks, cars, who cares? But back in the day, I mean, Henry Ford was like Elon Musk, and today we have Elon Musk who's making what? He's not making but he has invented what? The self-driving car. That's the state of the art car technology that we have right now. I mean, I met a guy with a Tesla, and he was telling me about it. I couldn't believe it. He said, I could leave this car in an airport parking lot. And he said, I could be in my house and I could just tell the car to come to my house. And the damn thing will drive from the airport by itself, from the airport all the way to my house. I couldn't believe it. Could you imagine just seeing a car with nobody in it and it's just driving? That would be insane. It's surreal, but that's the world that we live in. So Elon Musk is like Henry Ford. And Henry Ford loved Hitler. He loved Nazism. And Elon Musk, he loves the AfD, which is a Nazi party. And Elon Musk also has said some very critical things about the Jews. He has said, hey, he said that he agreed with a statement that said that there are Jewish groups that are at war with the white race. And Hitler said similar things. And here you have Musk subscribing to that way of thinking. And so it's similar to the past. It's similar to what happened before Hitler took power. And today you have wealthy people who are really into eugenics. Your Peter Thiels, your Elon Musks. Back in the day, you had really wealthy people who were into eugenics. And you had your Rockefellers. Those were the rich people who were into eugenics. So it's not that different from our own time. The time before Hitler took power is not that different. There is a parallel between the time before Hitler took power and the time that we're living in now. And it's very, very surreal to see it. It is very surreal to see it, but it's scary. It really is scary to see what's happening. And we have to find the parallels between history and our own time. And that way, by doing so, we can sort of become like fortune tellers. I don't want to use that word, but we can become predictors. We can become, what's the term? We can become prognosticators. We can do prognostication. We can make predictions based on information, based on comparing, based on looking at what's happening now in light of history. And that is very powerful, and it's very, very effective. It's very effective. But I was trying to tell you guys, and here's the problem with a lot of Westerners. See, Eastern people, Russians, Poles, Polish people aren't Eastern, they're Central European. They're Slavic, okay? Poles, Russians, Ukrainians, Belarusians, people from the Middle East, people in Asia, these people don't really forget anything. They remember things that happened decades and decades and decades and decades ago. They even will remember things that happened centuries ago as if they happened months ago or years ago. And that is actually a really helpful mindset to have. Now, it can be destructive in the sense that you never really have any forgiveness because you say, well, I don't like these people because their ancestors did this to my people. That's where you have a problem with that way of thinking because there's a lack of forgiveness. With the West, it's not really even forgiveness, it's just forgetfulness. If we can adopt forgiveness, but if we can I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you very simple. If we can forgive but never forget, then I think we will be on a much better road, a much better path. Because then we can forgive people. We can say, okay, your people butchered my people back in 1980 something, but we're going to forgive you. But we're going to be watching your ass because you may try to do that bullshit again. So, and we want to stop you from doing that if you want to do that. That's a better mindset to have, right? Forgive, but don't forget. Now, some people have the mindset of never forgive, never forget, and that is a destructive mindset because then you end up having hostilities with other people and it shows, and then that just perpetuates a vicious cycle, and that's just not good. It's better to forgive and not forget than to not forgive and not forget. So if we can just look at history and say, listen, we forgive the people that did those bad things, and we're not going to put that image on you because that was something that your ancestors did, not you. But if you have this weird ideology that wants to harken back to the ideology of your ancestors, that is going to be dangerous, and we're going to be watching you. And I think that's a much better mindset to have. And so we have to look at that history. And the problem with a lot of Westerners is that they don't do that. In fact, if I bring up history with Westerners, they will say, well, but that was the past. And I'll say, yeah, that was the past, but the past repeats itself. Or the past will repeat itself in a similar way. The future at times echoes with the past. And so Westerners don't give a shit. If I bring up eugenics and I bring up what happened in the mid-20th century because of eugenics, they're going to say, well, who cares? That's the past. We just care about free speech. And so a lot of Americans, I'm speaking about Americans because I am an American. A lot of Americans have this mentality of just focusing on the present day buzzwords, just focusing on the present day hot button issues. Wokeism. Bah! Woke, 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 woke. Right? Woke is bad. Woke, woke, woke. It's like, okay, woke is bad, but hot damn, guys, don't you ever think that this wokeism is being pushed because for some kind of dialectical reason? Maybe does it ever cross your minds that perhaps this wokeism stuff is being pushed to get you guys all pissed off so that you can go radically to the opposite side and become an extreme right-wing lunatic like a Nazi? I mean, do you guys ever think that? Right? And even if there is no conspiracy, don't you guys understand that if you focus on this in this insane way and where you're not focusing on anything else, that you could actually fall for another type of evil? We should be looking at the forest and not the trees. We could say Islam is bad. Yes, we can say HTS in Syria is bad. But does that mean that we ignore the machinations of Israel and how Israel was behind the Syrian revolution? Are we going to sit there and ignore the fact that Netanyahu takes credit for the overthrowing of Bashar al-Assad, which led to Al-Qaeda and Islamists overrunning Syria, and it also enabled Turkey to control Syria? Are we going to ignore the Israeli elephant in the room? A lot of people want us to ignore that, and they want us to ignore it in the name of Christian Zionism. And to those people, I say that you're evil because you want me to ignore evil. I saw a post on X another day that was unironically advocating a nuclear holocaust in Africa and the Middle East. We do really live in crazy times. Man, really? Do you remember who posted that? That's crazy, but it's not surprising. There's a lot of that stuff on Twitter. It's really disturbing, guys. Very disturbing stuff. But, you know, going back to what I was saying, you'll have wokeism, right? Woke, 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 woke. And it's just, woke, the woke left. And Dave Rubin and Gad Saad and all these different talkers. Woke, 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 woke. And these people are just influencing you to focus on one bad thing. Woke. What about right-wing ideology? What about the dangers of rightism? What about the dangers of a revived Nazism? What about the dangers of neo-Ottomanism? What about the dangers of pan-Turkism? What about the dangers of Darwinism, eugenics, fanatical militant atheism? Like, there's so many different things out there that are looking for your soul, and there's a war going on over your soul. There is a war. And in this war, you have people who are funding it. You have people who are funding various factions and using them as proxies to advance a certain cause. Some people are backing wokeism. Some people are backing Nazism. Some people are backing eugenics. It's all this. It's an ideological proxy war, and the territory that they're trying to advance upon is your souls. That's what's happening. It's a war over your mind. And so, yeah, wokeism bad. Yeah, but here's the thing about wokeism. No one gives a shit about wokeism. People don't even follow wokeism. People aren't sitting there saying, oh, hooray, I just love wokeism. And you do have people like that, but they're a minority. The majority of people hate wokeism. Wokeism is not really a serious threat. If it was a serious threat, most people would agree with it. What makes an ideology a threat? What makes an ideology a threat is not the fact that there is an ideology. It's the fact that people subscribe to the ideology. An ideology is only as dangerous as the number of followers that it has. Do you see? An ideology is only as dangerous as the number of followers that it has. And if enough people follow an ideology, then that makes it dangerous. The thing about wokeism is that it was for the most part just pissing people off. You could say, well, there was DEI and there was people not getting hired because they were a white male, and you could point to those types of isolated incidences. I don't think they represent the general occurrences of the job market, because the fact is that the majority of people being hired in various jobs in the United States are white men. I mean, white people dominate the job market. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it is what it is. But the fact is that the whole DEI stuff is falling apart. It's toppling as we speak. It's going right down the damn toilet. Why do I say that? Because you can literally see it happening. You can see this happening in the video game world. You can see this happening in the movie world. You can see it happening where anytime a video game comes out and it's some woke stuff, that video game is bashed to death. We saw this with Dragon Age: The Veilguard. We saw this with whatever. I don't remember all of them, but Dragon Age: The Veilguard was one of them. We saw this with various other games. And the whole, go woke, go broke. I mean, it's true. So wokeism is not the biggest threat. It's not. What's the biggest threat is something that has enough followers. You can say Islam is a threat. Yeah, you're right. It has 1 billion people. That means you have, out of 1 billion people, you have millions and millions of people who believe in jihadism. It's a threat. Ottomanism is a threat because Turkey is the biggest Muslim country, not the biggest in terms of population, but the biggest in terms of military technology and influence. It's the second most armed country in NATO. I mean, it's at the center of NATO, and it controls access into the Mediterranean Sea. It controls the access ways from the Black Sea into the Mediterranean. That's why Russia is in Syria right now, because it doesn't want to have to rely on Turkey allowing it to go through the Dardanelles every time it wants to go from the Black Sea into the Mediterranean. It doesn't want to have that. It doesn't want to be under that level of control. Do you see? So Ottomanism is a really big thing. Pan-Turkism is a really big thing because apparently a lot of people believe in that stuff. People in the Xinjiang province, the Uyghurs, the Kazakhs, the Uzbeks, the Turks, the Azerbaijanis, they all had this, not all of them, but a lot of them had this idea of Pan-Turkism and creating this unified Turkic empire, and it would be ruled by the most powerful of the Turkic countries, Anatolia, Istanbul. I talked about this last week. I mean, that's a serious thing. And if Turkey can control all of Central Asia, Turkey becomes an empire. Because not only would it have control over the Dardanelles, which is the access ways from the Black Sea into the Aegean Sea, into the Mediterranean, it would also, at the same time, it would have this control. I mean, right now it has control over the Bosphorus, which is the access way from the Black Sea into the Sea of Marmara, and from the Sea of Marmara through the Dardanelles into the Aegean, and from the Aegean into the Mediterranean. It has that already. But if it controls Central Asia, then on top of that immense geopolitical, geostrategic power that it already has, it's going to have direct access into the Caspian Sea, and from there, direct access into Central Asia. And in Central Asia, it's going to have this endless supply of uranium, oil, natural gas. I mean, it'll be an empire, a massive empire. And how many people live in Central Asia? 80 million? 80-something million people live in Central Asia. That's humongous. So it'll literally be a massive empire. But that's a dangerous ideology because so many people subscribe to it. So many people subscribe to that ideology. What makes an ideology dangerous is its followers. So wokeism is bad, but most people hate wokeism. well, Marxism. Most people hate Marxism. I don't think Marxism is going to be reviving into a serious ideology, although I could be wrong, because with this whole shooting of the CEO being praised to no end, that actually, I mean, I could see it happening now. Now that I think about it, I could see a Bolshevik-like kind of movement rising up, but it wouldn't be exactly, I don't think if it does happen, I don't think it would be entirely the same as the Bolsheviks. I think it'll be a kind of a violent populism with some kind of socialist leanings. But the nationalism stuff is really, really rising up. And it's becoming very serious. And you give it 5, 10, 15 years from now, it's going to be even bigger. You know, even Asmongold sees it. I don't know if you guys have been watching Asmongold stuff, but I watch his stuff from time to time. And I saw a video, somebody brought this to my attention last night, that, hey, Asmongold's warning people about the rise of Nazism. And I said, what? Yeah, the rise of Nazism. And I checked out the video, and Asmongold has been saying, guys, Nazism is going to come back. And he said, you give it 5, 10 years, it's going to be even bigger. And this is not the first time that Asmongold has said this. He's been saying this, I want to say, since earlier this year. That is, how do you spell his name? I'll write it down. He's one of the biggest streamers in the internet, Asmongold. Now, again, this guy is not, he's not a Christian guy. I'm just letting you know that. So he says things that are very not kosher, to put it lightly. But he's right about that aspect. He's right. And he's not, my point is that I'm not the only person who sees this. There are other people who are starting to see this. And they are still a minority. That's the thing. They're still a minority. But other people are seeing it. People always need a justification for their violence. Yep, that's correct. When deep down they just really love blood, that's correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is 100% the case. They're really just serial killers. And they love the idea of having the power over life and death. They want to be God. But again, they want to make sure that they can look good, that they can morally grandstand as they do their evil, and they can present their evil desires in a good way. That's what they want to do, so that they can feel good about themselves. But not only that, but well, I don't think they really care about feeling good about themselves, but they want to look good so that they can gain more followers. Oh yeah, join my cause and we can do this good stuff together. What's the good stuff? Killing people. What would you do if Asmon starts reacting to your videos? I mean, I think that would be pretty cool. I don't think that's going to happen ever, but I think that would be pretty cool. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I do agree with much of what he has to say. And I think he's pretty spot on when it comes to political observations. Him and I pretty much agreed. We pretty much agreed completely on Trump becoming president. We both agreed that Trump was going to become president. And we both agree on how just the whole vibe of society has been shifting towards anti-wokeism and rightism. And I think that I'm just glad that I'm not the only person who sees it. Because sometimes you could be the only person seeing something and no one else sees it. And then you start second-guessing yourself. And I hate that feeling. So it's nice to see that other people see what I'm seeing. Albeit we are a minority, but that doesn't really matter. Thank you, Theo. Gotta go. All right, see you later. Enjoy your dinner. That's called foreshadowing. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yep. Very true. Very, very true. 50 peeps. Yep. Nah, it went down to 44, which isn't bad. In Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone needed toilet paper, so he started cussing at the computer, which gave him a fine every time he cussed. Which gave him a fine. Yeah, little social credit system there. You're waking up the bots because you're talking about them, yeah. When it comes to Musk's situation, them Nazis are saying, I warned you. Some of them are. You're always going to have these fanatics that hate the mainstream group of their ideology, or they're going to hate another person who may even agree with him on some things. You're always going to have that sort of thing. You're always going to have this sort of infighting that happens. Simon says, yeah, the more that watch Ted, the more you reach. Keep it up. The more that yeah, definitely pump those numbers. Absolutely. I'll send you the clips. All right. Oh, Musk's meltdown. Okay, I'll watch that. Oh, that guy. I tried watching him, but he annoys the crap out of me. I don't know why. I'll be honest with you guys. When I first saw Asmongold, it was back in like 2017. That was the first time that I saw him, and I thought, like, who watches this dude? This dude's just sitting there playing video games. And then last year, I started watching him, and I thought, wow, he actually makes sense about a number of things, and I agree with him on a number of things that he says. So I do watch his YouTube channel. So let's get into this article here. Trump backers battle online over skilled immigrants. Yep, and this is what they're hating Elon Musk for. They're not hating Elon Musk because he's a eugenist or a social Darwinist or he's just a lunatic who wants to put computer chips into people's brains. They're hating Musk because he wants to bring in Indian labor. And this is what's sparking the whole right-wing contention as we speak. Weeks before President-elect Donald J. Trump is to take office, a major rift has emerged among his supporters over immigration and the place of foreign workers in the U.S. labor market. The debate hinges on how much tolerance, if any, the incoming administration should have for skilled immigrants brought into the country on work visas. And you see, this has been an issue for years in the United States. I mean, I remember that racist guy, Richard Spencer, talking about this back in, I want to say at around 2016 or 17, where he was talking about the HB1 visas for Indian tech workers and how the Indian tech workers were outnumbering the white tech workers in California. And he was saying that it was a replacement, that they were trying to replace white people. So this has been a big issue for the right for a long time. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't take this however you want it. I don't really like the idea of bringing in droves of people from India. I don't. Call it what you want. Call me a right winger or whatever. I don't like it because here's the problem is there is this arrogance that some people have when they come from India to America and they say they need us. The Americans need us. And so they have this arrogance. And that arrogance can fester into more and more hostility. And it causes ethnic tension. And I don't want to see ethnic tension. I don't. And that's why I'm really against this idea of just bringing in droves of people and from India. And it's just, you bring some people from India, sure. I don't have an issue with that. You know, some balanced immigration I think is good. But this idea of just this idea that it's okay just to bring people endlessly from India or Pakistan, it's just not a good idea. I think it causes eventually too much ethnic strife, and we're seeing that. We're seeing it in the Twitter spaces, but I think it can translate into real society. It's like what's been going on in Ireland. I mean, Ireland is a country of about 5 million people. It's too small, and they're bringing in a lot of people from different countries, and it's just not good. It's just not good, guys. It causes way too much ethnic tension. You have people from a different culture, a different way of thinking. You're bringing them in by the droves. Again, if you want to bring some people in, that's fine, but there needs to be a limit. And if you don't have a limit, then it just causes strife and violence, and I don't want to see that. And then it gives more fuel for Hitlerian forces to get power, and it's not good. It's not good for anybody. They will also bring their Hinduism and Buddhism with them. And yeah, that's another thing. They bring their culture with them, and that culture will be at odds with a Western culture. And you're seeing there's a lot of hatred against Indian people on Twitter, and I don't like it. I think it's getting really weird. It's getting really weird. You know, I understand criticizing Hindu society. I think that's totally valid. I did 2 videos on India, or several videos on India, actually. And I think criticism of Indian society, culture, Hinduism is totally valid. But I think the anti-Indian stuff has become really weird. And I don't want to see ethnic, racial anger in the Western world. But the problem is that it's already here. We saw it in the UK riots, where you had basically a race riot happening in the summer of this year, and it's just nasty, and I don't want to see it. So Elon Musk says, yes, HB1 visas bring in more Indian labor. And then it says here that the schism pits immigration hardliners against many of the president-elect's most prominent backers from the technology industry. Among them, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, who helped back Mr. Trump's election efforts with more than $250 million, and David Sachs, a venture capitalist picked to be czar for artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency policy. The tech industry has long relied on foreign skilled workers to help run its companies, a labor supply that critics say undercuts wages for American citizens. And you see, this is what leads to ethnic tension, stuff like this. The dispute, which late Thursday exploded online into acrimony, finger-pointing, and accusations of censorship, frames a policy quandary for Mr. Trump. The president-elect has in the past expressed a willingness to provide more work visas to skilled workers, but has also promised to close the border, deploy tariffs to create more jobs for American citizens, and severely restrict immigration. Laura Loomer, she has been a big voice in this whole fiasco. She's been supposedly in a fight with Musk. Now, again, guys, you have to remember, politics is theater. So we have to keep in mind that this whole thing could be a show. Not saying that that's 100% what's happening, but I'm saying that it could be happening. And it's possible that this whole thing is just theater. It's a show. It's a facade to make people think that there is this tension. Perhaps what's going to happen is Musk is going to come along and say, I was wrong, guys. I'm sorry. I don't want to do that. That's possible. We'll see. Laura Boomer, yeah. That's possible. So that I said that's possible, right? Ted, there's a poem by Rudyard Kipling called The Stranger. You might like it. Oh, really? I'll check it out. I think Elon wants to bring them over because they can do similar work and he can pay them less. Well, that's exactly what this is about. Ted is very strict towards Indians. Very strict? I don't want to see massive amounts of migration from the third world. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to bring massive amounts of people from China, from Africa, from the Middle East even. I mean, people in Syria were escaping war. I can't blame them. And I can understand bringing those people in because they're escaping war. But India's not in a war. India is just a shithole that nobody wants to live in. Even the Bollywood people don't want to live there. They want to live in the UK. And I have these Indian people who say, I am a proud Indian. I am a proud Indian man. But they live in London because they have money. They don't want to live in India because it's a dump. They want the Indian cuisine. They want that naan bread with the curry. But they don't want to actually live in India because it's a shithole. India is one of the worst countries in the world to live in. It's a dump. Let's go back to Laura Boomer, okay? Laura Loomer, far-right activist and fervent Trump loyalist, helped set off the altercation earlier this week by criticizing Mr. Trump's selection of Sriram Krishnan, an Indian-American venture capitalist, to be an advisor on artificial intelligence policy. I sounded like AI for a second there. Artificial intelligence policy. Sometimes my mouth moves faster than my brain. In a post, she said she was concerned that Mr. Krishnan, a naturalized U.S. citizen who was born in India, would have influence on the Trump administration's immigration policies, and mentioned third world invader. It's alarming to see the number of career leftists who are now being appointed to serve in Trump's admin when they share views that are in direct opposition to Trump's America First agenda, Ms. Loomer wrote on X. So here's the problem. So you have two things happening simultaneously. You have hatred against Indians, and you have hatred against Jews. And both of these hatreds are rising up at around the same time. Laura Loomer is Jewish. She could say that she's a white lady all she wants. She's Jewish. She is Semitic. Look at her face. She has quite a Semitic face with Semitic facial features. She's Jewish. And a lot of people have made fun of and attacked Laura Loomer because she is Jewish. Now, I don't agree with this at all. I don't. I think it's anti-Semitism. I think it's racism. I don't like racism. I don't like it. And I think I am critical of the state of Israel. I'm critical of certain Zionists because of what they say and or do. But I do not agree with the idea of hating people because they're Jewish. I think that's sick. That's like saying, hey, because there's Muslim terrorists, let's now hate everyone who is of Arab origin. Let's hate Saudis, Iraqis, Syrians, Lebanese people. Let's hate everybody who speaks Arabic. And that is sick. I don't like that at all. So a lot of people have hated Laura Loomer because she's Jewish. Here's the problem is she's saying, oh, look, third world invaders, they're coming from India. Okay, I see what you're saying. I understand the sentiment. But also understand that there is a hatred rising up against Jews. And if the hatred against the Indians and the hatred against the Jews sort of coalesce together, and you have enough people on both of these, you have enough people who are espousing these hatreds coming together and agreeing on the same thing, then that means you, Laura, have crosshairs on you. The hatred is going to be aimed at you, and it's already kind of aimed at you. So my point is that this hatred against Indian people and this hatred against Jewish people, I think it's growing at a rate that's quite disturbing and quite scary, and it's getting very weird, and it can get really, really out of hand. That's what I fear. I'm afraid that it's going to get out of hand, especially when you have people who hate Indians and people who hate Jews, and you have people who hate both at the same time. And my fear is that you have enough of these people kind of being in cahoots with each other, and it can get out of hand. In response, Mr. Sachs called Ms. Loomer's critique crude, while Mr. Musk posted regularly this week about the lack of homegrown... Oh. You see, and this is where things got sensitive. This is where things got really, really tense and acrimonious. This was Musk really just hitting people with an emotional dagger, if you will. Mr. Musk posted regularly this week about the lack of homegrown talent to fill all the needed positions within American technology companies, basically saying Americans are stupid and Indians are smarter. Now, remember, guys, I told you that Musk is a eugenist. He wants more geniuses to have kids. And you're going to say, well, what's wrong with that? Here is the problem with that way of thinking. It's that when you start saying, I want this type of people to have children, that means you see the other type of people as less than in some way. You see them as being deficient in something. You see them maybe as being less evolved, and Musk does believe in evolution, and he does believe that intelligence is genetic. So he kind of sees other people as being less involved. So what he's saying is we need more of these people to have kids, and that means that there are too many of these other people having kids, and that's a problem, and that leads to dangerous ideas, maybe like Malthusianism. Certain people shouldn't have kids. Certain people should have kids. These people, because of their genius minds, should have more kids. And that's why Elon Musk gave his sperm to some employee of his, because according to him, she was very intelligent, and he gave her, he basically had her impregnated with his seed through a turkey baster, and she had twins, and that was his way of populating the earth with more intelligent people. And so the issue with this is that it can lead to some very, very dangerous policies, Malthusian policies. And he believes that the next step of human evolution is the Neuralink. It's going to be putting these chips into people's brains, and that's going to make people more intelligent. It's going to make people more efficient in their work. And so he wants to genetically engineer people to be a certain way. So the fact that he is calling Americans dumb or technologically inefficient doesn't really surprise me, because people who believe in eugenics talk this way. Too many people who believe in eugenics will always begin to talk this way. They will always look down on certain people and say, well, these people are dumb. I want more of these people because they're more intelligent. And then you have this preference that takes place. He prefers this type of person to come to America because that helps him, and that is to his interest. And then when you say, hey, why are you bringing these people? I thought you were for stricter immigration. He's going to say, well, you Americans are not very bright. And that's the problem, you see? So this is what pressed a lot of people's buttons, understandably so, because he's supposed to be this patriotic person. And here he is saying, nah, you Americans just don't quite cut it. Throughout the election cycle, Mr. Musk helped amplify the debunked theory that the Democratic Party was encouraging undocumented immigrants to cross the border. Now, he doesn't want those people in. He doesn't want Guatemalans and Nicaraguans, and he doesn't want Hondurans and Mexicans coming in here because, well, you know, they're just going to be here to pick fruit and do construction work, and you Americans can do that. You guys are fit for that, but not for computer stuff. Nah, you guys don't have enough brains for that. Naturalized citizen born in South Africa, Mr. Musk has spoken out frequently against immigration, characterizing it as a threat to national sovereignty and endorsing messages calling non-citizens invaders. Ooh. But apparently Indians aren't invaders. This week, however, he came out strongly in favor of H-1B I would say viruses. It does sound like a virus. H-1B visas, which are given to specialized foreign workers. Mr. Musk has said that he held an H-1B before becoming a citizen, and his electric car company Tesla obtained 724 of the visas this year. H-1B visas are typically for 3-year periods, etc., etc. Ms. Loomer, reached by telephone, said that she took on the visa issue because she didn't trust the motivations of Mr. Musk and other tech magnates who helped elect Mr. Trump. She is worried, she said, that Mr. Musk in particular would try to use his sway to persuade the incoming president to allow more immigration rather than close the border as she and others on the right would prefer. And this is why they supported Musk. This is why they supported Trump, because they thought that they were going to help with this immigration issue that they've been having for years. But apparently, I mean, Mr. Musk thinks otherwise. These next 4 years of Trump presidency are going to be very interesting. I completely agree. Completely agree. He's not MAGA, and he's a drag on the Trump transition, said Ms. Loomer, who said she believed that Mr. Musk was using his relationship with Mr. Trump to further enrich himself. Elon wants everyone to think he's a hero because he gave $250 million to the Trump campaign, but that's not much of an investment if it allows him to become a trillionaire. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? You never know. You may just see Elon Musk say, okay, find me your finest anti-Semites on Twitter, sick them on Laura Loomer, and he may just use this to spark anti-Semitism. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him. Truth is much stranger than fiction. Mr. Trump in June said on a podcast co-hosted by Mr. Sachs that an international student who graduates from an American university, quote, should be able to stay in this country. Ooh. I mean, I don't really disagree with that, but a lot of people would disagree with that. The taping followed a San Francisco fundraiser for Mr. Trump's campaign hosted by Mr. Sachs. San Francisco? What's in San Francisco? Ooh, Silicon Valley. Since then, the leaders of tech companies who rely on skilled foreign labor, including Mark Zuckerberg of This is why Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos had dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Remember that story? Oh, Zuckerberg and Bezos, they had dinner at Mar-a-Lago. What were they talking about? They want to better the country. They want to better the economy. Nope. They're there to talk about Indian workers. Jeff Bezos of Amazon and Sundar Pichai of Google have wooed Mr. Trump with calls, visits to Mar-a-Lago, and donations for his inauguration. That's a different dynamic from Mr. Trump's first term, which began with the industry's sweeping condemnation of the first Trump administration's travel ban, suspending the issuance of visas to applicants from 7 countries, all of which had Muslim-majority populations. Tech leaders have also been taking an important role in the presidential transition, proposing associates for high-ranking administration positions and advising the president-elect on potential policies in foreign relations. Mr. Trump also tapped Mr. Musk to serve as co-leader of a new government efficiency commission. Ooh, what's part of the efficiency commission? Getting more Indian labor? Let's see how this turns out, everyone. Vivek Ramaswamy. Ooh, he's been really stepping on some people's toes because he basically said the same thing as Mr. Musk. He said, well, America just... What did Mr. Ramaswamy say? Because the New York Times article here doesn't have it. Vivek Ramaswamy thinks that tech companies are choosing foreign-born workers over American ones because our culture is too chill, too mediocre, and doesn't... Oh my god, dude. You guys, oh my god. I'm not saying you guys, but there were too many people in America saying, I think Vivek is great. He doesn't really like you guys. He looks down on you guys. You know why he looks down on you guys? Because he is a part of the Brahmin culture. Which caste is Vivek a part? I know in India they have a caste system over there. Which caste is he a part of? Is he part of one of the superior castes? I'm assuming he's a part of one of the Aryan castes. Vivek Ganapathy Ramaswamy was born blah 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 blah. His father, Ganapathy Ramaswamy, is a graduate of the National Institute of Technology, Calicut. His parents are Tamil-speaking Brahmins. Ah, so he's of the highest caste in India. Ooh, the highest. He's of the highest caste. That means that over there in India, the Brahmins look down on people. We are the highest caste. We are the people who have the most Aryan genes. Yeah. They want to be white so bad. It's scary. Yeah, they keep talking about being Indo-Aryan. They want to be Aryan so badly, just like Hitler. Aryan. I am Aryan. I look down on you. You are low caste. So of course he's a snob, and he comes from a snobby culture, and he has a superiority complex. Of course he's going to say Americans are mediocre and Indians are smarter, and that's, you know, nobody wants to hire them and blah blah. So so what did this guy say? He said a culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ, or the jock over the valedictorian, will not produce the best engineers. Now hear me out. Hear me out. He has a point. He does. But that doesn't change the fact that pisses Americans off. It doesn't. But he has a point. In America, we uplift athletes over people who are engineers or really good at mathematics or science. It's true, we do. But again, he pisses people off when he says, you shouldn't say this. If you're going to be living in America, doing business with people here, I mean, you're just shouldn't be saying stuff like that. You're pissing off your market. That's what I'm saying. So, man, he's already on the attack right before Trump gets in office. Like, dude, at least wait at least until Trump's about to leave. Then say what's on your mind. Don't say this shit at all. Really, what are you doing? Just what are you doing? Right before Trump enters, you're already talking shit about Americans, man. Just don't. Man. You see, and what this is doing is it's affirming what people suspect about Indians. So what people suspect about Indian people is that Indian people look down on non-Indians. Do you see? Indian people look down on non-Indians. That is the suspicion. That's the assumption. That's the perspective that a lot of people have. And so when Vivek says these things, it affirms those suspicions. So you're only increasing the hatred towards Indian people. That's what you're doing. You're putting fuel on the fire. Funny that they mentioned Mr. H while the mustache man disliked them to the point he once mentioned that the Brits should be more harsh on them. I didn't know that. I also know that Hitler really didn't like Arabs very much, but he didn't mind working with them. And do you know what? Oh my God. You see, but here's the problem with Vivek. He just left himself open to the brutal attacks that have been lodged against Indians on Twitter for years now. And that is that India is a shithole. So he's kind of right that, hey, you know, in America, you guys uplift the prom queen over the mathematician, but India's still a dump. And you're not living in India. You're living here. Your father didn't live in India. He left India. He came here. He came to a country where they do celebrate the prom queen over the math Olympiad because he wanted a better life. So you really should shut your mouth. Really, you should shut your mouth. It's just uncalled for. And so that's what people are already saying. They're saying, hey, Mr. Vivek, yeah, we love our football. We love our beauty pageants. It's better than a country where people shit on the floor and defecate in public and have really shitty food poisoning riddled food stands. So let's go back to this article here. So yeah, so Vivek was shitting all over American society. And what did he say here? Going on, he said, a culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zack and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel and Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. I mean, this is kind of bullshit. Let's be real here. America was a superior country to India when Boy Meets World was a thing. And we were all watching Boy Meets World because Topanga was like every true American armed with the proper ballistics. Yeah, America has prom queens. It has the prom queen. It has the beauty pageant. It has the football game. This is why you guys are failing. This is why you guys need us. It's like, you know, you're just pissing so many people off. It just... Yeah, okay, America has those things, but it's still a better country than India. A billion times better. Vivek Ramaswamy, the former Republican president candidate, who last month was tapped to lead the government efficiency initiative alongside Mr. Musk, blamed American culture for creating people ill-suited for skilled tech positions. The H-1B system is badly broken and should be replaced with one that focuses on selecting the very best of the best, Mr. Ramaswamy said. Oh, so the Indians are the best of the best. Okay. Wasn't this the guy who said, I don't want to support any country, including Israel, but he wants to help the Indians out? A little bit of ethnic bias there. Their abuse fetish is just an overcompensation. That's a really interesting observation. Could you elaborate more on that? I find that interesting. I do. I actually agree with what you're saying, but I would like for you, if you can, if you want to, only if you want to elaborate more on that, because that is, I agree with you. I think that's a good observation. Yeah, it's an overcompensation, but the film Whiplash is just awful. It's an awful movie. There's nothing inspiring about Whiplash. Like, it's just, listen, it's my preference. I like films that are inspiring. I like Braveheart. I like Gladiator. I like Castaway. I like Die Hard. I like, what other films? The Siege, Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down. I love these films because they are films in which people are overcoming huge challenges. They're overcoming adversity. They're trying to defy evil. There's a lot of inspirational characteristics of these films. There's nothing like that in Whiplash. Whiplash is literally about a teacher who abuses his students. That's all it's about. And India has a culture of abuse. There was a case that I read where there was a guy who, what was it? He was being told by his employers that he had to travel, I think, a super far distance to go work somewhere. And he said, hey, listen, I would much rather work closer to home because I want to be closer to my wife. And the boss said, well, if you want to work closer to your wife, just let me just rape her, and then I'll let you work closer to her. And I'm thinking, what type of a fucking psychotic society is this? Like, this is sick. This is absolutely sick. Yeah, like, fuck India, dude. I've done a lot of research on India and how they get so much illnesses. I mean, Mr. Hanna here, he said, have you seen what they do in the Ganges? Yeah, they shit all over it. Then they bathe themselves in it because they think it's holy and divine. Well, I mean, for such a cult over the Ganges, you guys sure do mistreat that river. Now, if you really think it's divine, I mean, you would think that these people would make sure that the river is clean. You see, so it's just a dump. And I'm thinking, man, like, all these Indian people are mad at you for criticizing India. I'm thinking, you guys need to kind of clean up your own house before you talk shit about other people. People want to tour around and be able to feel welcome, adapted to special needs people. with higher IQ. I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. You always write in this way that's ambiguous. What are you talking about? I don't know if it's like a language thing or something, but I wish you could write in a clearer way. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Good Lord, yeah, good Lord is right. It says here, since rancorous exchange over immigration soon grew to encompass another flashpoint on the right, online speech. So it says here that since acquiring what was then called Twitter in 2022 for $44 billion, Mr. Musk has characterized himself as a free speech absolutist, and that's bullshit because his website has been censoring critics of Hindu nationalism for a while now. I have been to India, and I can say that that's the country with a huge contrast. There are people who eat just once a week, and on the other hand, there are people who eat 6 times a day lobsters. Wow. The shit and corpses become divine by transitive properties. See India value mathematics. Oh, I see. Yeah, and do you know how much disease that Ganges River obsession causes? It's a huge chunk of their medical expenses in India goes to sicknesses that are caused by people dipping into this literal stream of shit. It says here that among his first acts atop the company was reinstating accounts banned by the previous management, including Miss Loomer's, which had been, oh my god. Look what it says here. Among his first acts atop the company was reinstating accounts banned by the previous management, including Miss Loomer's, okay, which had been taken down in 2018 after sharing anti-Muslim posts, okay. But on Thursday, X temporarily... oh god, here's your that's your Musk, guys. On Thursday, X temporarily blocked Miss Loomer from posting on the site and removed her verified status. And don't you pay money for that? She paid money for that blue check. They removed the blue check even after she paid for it, cutting her off from income from paid subscribers. Ooh! What happened to free speech, guys? Wasn't this dude supposed to be a free speech absolutist who's all about free speech? And Laura Loomer is criticizing the H-1B policy for Indian workers, tech workers. And her account got temporarily blocked. And yet you have people praising the Holocaust on X. Not looking good, guys. But they all said, Musk is for free speech. And I told you guys months ago, he's not for free speech. And I was right. See, this is what happens when you guys don't look at red flags. You got to look at red flags. I see eugenist. He's into this weird Neuralink stuff. He's into that tech bro world of Silicon Valley. Red flag, don't like him. You guys are like, well, we'll give him a chance. I don't give people chances. I just look at red flags.